another European strongman, Hungary's Viktor Orban. The Prime Minister, with an increasingly autocratic bent, has been running the country for over a decade now. But is his time soon to be up? My next guest thinks so, and he wants to be the one to oust him. 49-year-old engineer turned mayor Peter Marchese pulled off a big victory this weekend to become the surprise opposition candidate. So let's ask him about his strategy. Thank you for joining us from Budapest. I want to get to your political strategy in a moment, but I want to just have you follow up on that story that we just reported from Belarus. Your own Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, has also, as we said, a distinct dislike of migrants, particularly Muslim ones. We're seeing, the Afghan debacle probably translate into a wave of new Afghan refugees and migrants towards Europe. Do you agree? He calls them Orban invaders. What's your position? Would your approach be different?
Hello, Christian, and it's a pleasure talking to you. Of course, my views are very different, but you also have to note that Mr. Orban's stance on the migration is also controversial. So he did actually allow quite a few refugees, even from Afghanistan, and at the same time he's also accepting migrants for work visa, for example, 55,000, the last number from 2019. So I don't think the big difference would be the practice. The difference is how you treat these people and also how you communicate. Because Orban is using migration for his hate campaigns. It's a very strong rhetoric on migration, not necessarily so strong on the practices. Practices, I mean the numbers. So yes, we need to treat people humanely wherever they come from, and also we should never ever conduct hate campaigns against any minorities, any groups of people.
Okay, so just let me one more question on this then, because it's important, and migration is one of the big issues of our time. As you know, Orban and his ministers, and I've spoken to his foreign minister a few times, tout the current system that you're living under there as illiberal democracy. And beyond that, the foreign minister told me a few years ago that, he explained, or at least he tried to explain, to answer, when I asked him about Orban calling for a Christian Hungary. This is what he said to me. What are you saying? That anything other than white Christians into your country are not accepted?
No one said that.
Excuse me. Your Prime Minister did say it. A Christian Hungary. Preserve a Christian Hungary.
Yeah, because we have been a Christian country for a millennium. And I don't really understand why is it bad news that we don't want to change that. And I don't understand why is it bad or why is it unacceptable that we would like to stick to our history, to our culture, to our heritage, to our religion.
So, Mr. Marchese, you are also a devout Catholic. I just wonder whether you agree with that. You talked about how they have to be treated humanely and how the communication about migrants needs to be humane and respecting human rights. So how would you be different than what Szijjártó and Orban say about them?
First of all, according to my views, there is nothing Christian about Orban or Szijjártó. They are the ultimate pragmatists. Orban started his political activity in the communist youth movement. Then he was for a long time a very liberal, a harsh, radical liberal. He was also the vice president of the Liberal International. Then he became somebody I also supported when he was an anti-Putin, pro-Europe, pro-EU conservative. Then he also changed after 2009, 2010, and now he's strongly against the EU and supporting Putin. So I don't think he's very consistent on ideology. The one thing that really outrages all Christians is corruption. Corruption is the biggest problem, and there's nothing Christian about corruption.
And yet he's been in power using the democratic process for the better part of a decade, if not more. And you are pretty much the only one who has and is about to mount a significant challenge. And you won a primary this weekend that pretty much nobody expected you would, but with a strategy that we've seen operate in the latest election in Israel. We saw in the election in the Czech Republic the weekend before, where they deposed the prime minister. The strategy is about different political parties joining together for the election. Describe what you hope to do in terms of you know, the Defeat a Strongman political handbook.
Well, first of all, unification of the opposition is a must, but it's a necessary but not sufficient condition for victory over Orban. His regime is extremely autocratic, there's no freedom of the press, and he's changing electoral law as he wishes. Even just this week, there were like 3 different changes in very important parts of electoral law and how to appoint political appointees to positions like the Public Prosecutor's Office. So his system is very difficult to defeat. But with the unification of the entire opposition from left to right, and with a candidate who has an appeal even to Orban's traditional voter base, electoral base, we have the highest chance of defeating him now in a decade.
So why do you think it is now that all of these parties have decided to put their own, you know, I guess, political egos aside and their own political, I guess, power and aspirations aside to band around you? What is it that you think is like, well, we've had enough already? Yeah.
Yeah. No, first of all, it wasn't their decision. It was the decision of voters who participated in extremely high numbers in a 2-round primary elections. And yes, the political parties, 6 united political parties from left to right, they agreed in the terms beforehand, and then they had to accept the results. But I also believe that this is the most efficient way, the best strategy against Orban and against his corrupt and autocratic regime.
So clearly what you're saying, you know, what you're laying out as policies and objectives are very different to Donald Trump and the populist wave of 2016. But you do have a Hungarian think tank leader called Peter Krekó. He has basically said, in some ways, Peter Márkizai, you, can be compared to Donald Trump in the fact that you're a non-party player who says new and surprising things, who comes out of nowhere and goes against the conventional political logic. Is that a fair description of you?
I wouldn't, yeah, I can accept that, definitely. The one thing is new, of course, is a fresh voice in politics in Hungary. People are generally not used to honest voice and a very direct communication style. But in an autocratic regime where freedom of the press is not a given, you know, you have to put things straight in order to get through communication bubbles.
So obviously Orban's party denies corruption and all of that. They deny pretty much everything you put to them. But I just wondered whether you think that, I mean, 6 months may be a long time. Do you feel that you will keep this rather fractious coalition, you know, of opposition parties together heading into the election? Have you had to make promises? You know, what's the strategy over the next 6 months? It's tough.
Yes, well, if these 6 parties are going to win, if they want to win, then they have no better option than keeping this coalition together. I've also been active in politics for 4 years now, and before I was working in the private sector, of course, and with no prior political engagements. I still have no party affiliation. But still, what I see is that Fidesz will do everything in his power, and he has unlimited resources and a ruthless, really limitless power, and they are very keen on keeping that power. So, of course, they will try to find traitors in the opposition. They will try to dissuade people from keeping this coalition together. And they have, like I said, unlimited resources, and they are not afraid of using them. So it's a big challenge, and we have to keep the electoral basis pressure on these opposition parties to keep the coalition together.
Fidesz, of course, being Orban's party. The EU is pretty much, you know, upset about them. There's sanctions on them. And it boils down to democracy, doesn't it? And, you know, we see them and Poland, the ruling party in Poland, you know, really pushing back on LGBTQ rights, on the rule of law, on all sorts of issues, the independent press, as you've just mentioned. So I want to ask you about restoring democracy, because it's not only in your part of Europe, it's not only in other parts of the world, but also in what we consider, you know, the greatest global experiment with democracy, the United States. You spent a long time there, you lived a long time there, and I just wonder what you make of what happened on January 6th, now what's going on in terms of trying to really investigate and hold the perpetrators accountable to some of the violence that took place. You know, how difficult is it for you when even the United States has a damaged democracy?
Well, yes, of course, it's a fair comparison, but at the same time, it's also very different, because even, you know, no matter how hard people tried, and some people tried, of course, in the last few years to change the rules of democracy in the United States, it is still a working state of law with the rule of law and freedom of the press. Hungary is very different. You know, Orban really managed to switch off all the checks and balances in our former constitution. Now he has a basic law, not even called a constitution, and this allows him to do anything he wants. With a 2/3 majority in the parliament, he can change constitution, he can change electoral law overnight. You know, he pretty much can decide one thing today, and it happens tomorrow. If he decides to put the next elections date 130 years from now, he can technically do it. So it's a very different situation, and I pretty much envy the United States that they have a very stable system and very stable government compared to ours.
Yeah, indeed. And what you're trying to do in Hungary is being described as the major showdown in your part of the world over the defense of democracy. And, you know, there are plenty of political analysts, and one of them has said that populism is beatable, but actually does require what you're trying to do, which is gather a whole bunch of political parties, have all the leaders, you know, put their political egos and individual egos aside. But I guess I want to ask you on a broader level, do you think that the 2016 wave of populism and nationalism, do you think it's on the wane? Do you think that this is the time to confront that kind of politics that overtook the world for so long?
Well, you also must have noticed that there was a change. This change at least, you know, started in 2019, when in Europe people expected Orban to rule Europe, and also with AfD and Salvini and the likes, Le Pen, to take over, or at least take a bigger share in European politics, and it didn't happen. Actually, the opposite happened. So Orban did not have a victory on international level. And we also saw that in 2019, Orban also lost base in the municipal elections in Hungary. Look around Hungary now lately, you know, Czech Republic and elsewhere, and you will see that the tide is changing, and hopefully to our benefit. This will hopefully also affect Hungary, and we are working very hard on this to happen here too.
Peter Márkizai, thank you so much for joining us.